Hi, good afternoon. It's Tuesday, March 24th, and just coming to you again, wanting to share some words of wisdom that I read from Scripture this morning. They're taken from Isaiah chapter 42. And I want you to hear these words as God's speaking them over to you, over all of us in the situation that we find ourselves. This is what he says. He says, I will lead the blind by ways they have not known. Along unfamiliar paths I will guide them. I will turn the darkness into light before them and make the rough places smooth. These are the things I will do. I will not forsake them. Have you felt blind in the last couple days? Not sure what path we're on, where we're headed, and it feels awful dark? I think all of us at some point, as we've been hearing new restrictions and facing new realities of how this COVID virus is impacting people near to us and across the world, the way it's impacting our economics, our job situation, our freedom of mobility, the way it's impacting our education system, the way it seems to be impacting our churches, that there's a lot of places that are dark and it feels like an unknown path. But God says to us that he will take us, we who are blind, and indeed we find ourselves very blind and on a lot of unfamiliar paths in these days. But he says that he will lead us. He will lead us on unfamiliar paths. And so the encouragement, first of all, is that we don't have to figure this out. God recognizes that where we find ourselves, we don't know how to get there. We don't know how to get from here to there. It is unfamiliar to us, and we're figuring it out together, but he says that he will lead us. He doesn't say we need to figure out the path. He says he will lead us on that path, and he will guide us. And then there's this really interesting thing that he says he'll turn the darkness into light. Have you ever thought about that? If we are blind, it doesn't really matter whether it's dark or light. It wouldn't make a difference to us. And yet it seems like God goes above and beyond to make sure that our path is one that can be traversed well, and that he is all about bringing light into the darkness, even if we might not notice, even if it might not be readily apparent to us. I was thinking about my great-grandparents who came over to the U.S. at the turn of the century from Poland on a ship. My great-grandfather came first and then sent money back over to Poland, and my great-grandmother came, who was pregnant with her first child. And I was thinking about how those unfamiliar paths must have been so frightening. And yet God was with them and walked with them as they were on that path, just like millions of others who came to our country in similar ways. As I think about ways that God is bringing light to our darkness, I'm imagining and rejoicing at different ways that I've seen people partner together, pastors coming together to partner with each other in the ways that we are each figuring out technology, and rather than holding them close, we're holding them with open hands, sharing with one another, people coming around each other, praying for one another. Parents who have been homeschooling for a long time, reaching out to parents who now have children at home because the schools are closed and it's gone to e-learning. There's so many different ways that we can help shine light into this dark way and be partners with God as he does that for all of us. The truth is that my path, which may be unfamiliar to me, might be a path that you have traversed before, and vice versa. Where you find yourself, maybe it's a path that I've already walked before. And so it brings together the importance of how significant it is that we come together as a community and we help each other. We are not intended to live as Lone Ranger Christians, as independent, not needing one another, but really interdependent on each other and, of course, relying on God. And this is a great time to do that. It seems silly, doesn't it, that when we are isolated in our homes and have to practice social distancing, that now we are finally learning the importance of interdependence and the way that we need each other. But if this is what it took, then what a great lesson we can all learn in this time. And one of the things I've been praying about this morning is just when we get beyond the situation, whenever that is, that we would not forget these lessons, but that we would incorporate them into our daily lives. And so we wouldn't go back to being those Lone Ranger Christians where we don't need anybody, but we would remember the significance of being interdependent with each other, the importance of community, the importance of reaching out, the importance of checking up on one another, and of course our reliance on God, who makes those paths smooth, who brings light to the darkness, and who guides us on our unfamiliar path. My encouragement to you today is that you would help somebody else that finds themselves on an unfamiliar path. Maybe you've walked that path before, and you can help them along that way. The truth is, you might just be 1 or 2 steps ahead, and you can turn around and reach back and grab their hand and say, "Come with me." How can you be encouraging one another in these days? How can you help each other walk that unfamiliar path? The knowledge and experience you have could be of great benefit and encouragement to somebody else. And as we do that, we will come together as a community and be stronger and again shine God's light brightly. So I would encourage you to do that in these days with each other. I'm praying for you, and I just want to encourage you to pray for each other. Pray big prayers. Sometimes we get so caught up in our little prayers that we might forget to pray big prayers. And so one of my big prayers is that God would just do something amazing through this time, through the church. And it would just, as we can't even be in our buildings, that he would break down those walls, and that the church would grow and expand far beyond anything we could ever hope or imagine in ways that impacts others' lives. That's one of my big prayers. I wonder what some of your big prayers are. Well, I hope you have a good rest of your day. As I said, I'm praying for you, and look forward to hearing from you as you share back with me. Wash your hands, and we'll check in with you again tomorrow. Take care.